Well, I think everybody is a little tired of this feeling of our hair being on fire and dealing with Donald Trump. So, cable news inflames this because they are 24/7. Oh my God, what has he done now? But we really, and there are two big questions I always come across in the comment section that you guys leave me in just talking to people. They are, when is this going to end? And what can we do? So this morning, for our sister publication, Politicus USA, I wrote about how impeachment, Democrats aren't really looking to do another impeachment, and how they are looking forward to just kind of skipping past it. So I got a little question here. They can't hear me. I'm going to speak up a little more so maybe I can be heard a little better. One of the various technical problems we had was not being able to set up our new microphones due to a lack of power. So I'm just going to have to speak louder. Uh, so, impeachment, Democrats aren't really interested in it. It makes sense why they're not. I mean, they went down this road twice already in the past. Republicans aren't going to play along. They aren't going to do their jobs. And so really, what's the point what's the point of doing all this again is what they're saying. And that's understandable because if they take back the House majority, they are not going to want to waste weeks and months on an impeachment process only to know that Senate Republicans are not going to vote to convict, that and since Republicans control the Senate, they can set the parameters of a potential Trump impeachment trial, which means that the requirement basically is that they just have to hold a trial. There's no real structure to the trial. It doesn't say you have to devote extra amount of days or hours. They could hold a trial in 1 hour on a Saturday afternoon, dismiss the charges, and move on. So, what we're doing is what they're looking at doing is just saying, you know what, impeachment's kind of pointless. We're going to skip it, and instead, we're going to focus on investigations. We're going to focus on accountability, and basically, politically, they're going to line up for 2028 to try to get all their ducks in a row for 2028, which politically makes perfect sense. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that that's what they should be doing. What they will be doing could be very different because I don't see a situation where they take back the House and just let what has happened over the previous year or two go away. They're going to have to do some serious, massive investigations because the only way the stuff that Trump is pulling is going to stop is if they start investigating, if they start holding hearings, if they start doing high profile things to make this administration feel pain. And remember, Trump can't be criminally charged, but the members of his administration have no such immunity. Now, those criminal charges would go through the federal government, which Trump controls. So that's why I think that you're looking at things like judges putting sanctions on Trump administration officials. Because those sanctions, according to Representative Jamie Raskin, are not pardonable. So if a judge says to, let's just say, Stephen Miller about the immigration policy and not bringing detainees home, let's say they sanction him by putting him in jail. Trump can't pardon him. So that's one option. The second option is to really hold them to account. Remember, if Democrats take back the House, they will have the power of the purse. So they would be able to say, you're not getting any more money. Your funding is gone, which would be, sort of ironic, given that Trump has tried to illegally take funding that Congress has appropriated away from agencies, programs, and everything else. But Congress would have the authorization to, and my favorite idea, which is sort of a personal pet idea of mine, I think if Democrats take back the House, they should defund the executive branch. Remember, the White House doesn't have its own money. the White House depends on congressional appropriation for funding. So, and this isn't theoretical, this is practical. They could literally defund Donald Trump and his administration. And I don't think that's the last time you're going to hear of that idea. I'm trying to look at the chat here, see if I can pull it up on my laptop. And it's not showing up for me. Oh, wow, it's not showing me anything. So I'm going to have to look at my phone here. I see people joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber, please, please consider supporting us, the daily. Become a subscriber. $6 a month for a paid subscription. You'll get videos like this. You'll get longer, in-depth posts. Now, some people ask me, what's the difference between Politicus USA and the Daily? Well, Sarah is the boss over at the Daily. I right there, I help out. Sarah is the boss. That's her guiding vision. I am doing, and the Daily is longer form content, more detail, more in depth. Politicus USA, that's where I do some rating, and Sarah helps out. That is more news. That is your daily, what's going on, news. I tried to write about things that aren't going to be on cable news. And if they are, they're going to be on cable news, between 8 and 11 p.m. So if you subscribe to Politicus USA and the Daily, you will have all of your news and analysis together in one place. You'll be able to get everything. So before, Jen Psaki talks about it at 9 o'clock, Tuesday through Friday, starting next week, or maybe this week, you'll be able to get all the news here first. So when Psaki says something, or Rachel Maddow, or Lawrence O'Donnell, you'll be like, I read about that earlier today in Politicus USA or the Daily. So, we are completely independent. We are just us. So we're not a bunch of people that have a bunch of money that are pretending to be independent, or we don't have a super PAC or a corporation or anything like that. We're just us, trying to give you the news, trying to do the best we can in a very, very strange and difficult time. One of the interesting things I ran across this morning, this is how bad things are getting for Donald Trump. He's sending J.D. Vance to South Carolina to reassure them about manufacturing. South Carolina. Now, if you're from South Carolina, if you've been to South Carolina like I have a few times, that's not a place any Republican should be worried about. If they are worried about the perception of their policies in South Carolina, Republicans have some really, really big problems. And they are problems that aren't going to be solved simply by Trump waking up tomorrow morning and posting on Truth Social, you know what? We're all done with these tariffs. We won. I won. Trump won. Everything's great. Everything's wonderful, which is the company line right now coming out of the White House. I mean, did you see any of that supposed faux cabinet meeting? First of all, it's not really a cabinet meeting, okay? Those are staged televised events, not just we learned from the first term, they're held just to boost Trump's ego. But essentially, what they're really trying to do with those events, they're trying to move the stock market. They're trying to get the market to stop sliding. And that's why you heard over and over again about how great, how wonderful, how competent, how incredible Trump is. Of course, that stuff may have fooled some people in 2017. But I think by 2018, most of the country pretty much realized what that was about. As far as Trump competence, there's no competence there. So what they're doing is they're just trying to move the stock market. They're just market manipulation. They're trying to manipulate perception, manipulate the economy. That whole thing was just a farce. And I'm starting to see more and more of people calling it a farce because, this faux authoritarianism. Okay, Trump has authoritarian impulses. Trump is not competent enough to be an actual authoritarian. And there's a whole other discussion there about whether he's going for, and what he's really building is kind of what Bernie Sanders is going for, an oligarchic, a billionaire's oligarchy, a kleptocratic oligarchy. But what else is really happening here is it's the theory of the imperial presidency. So, in a way, these are authoritarian impulses because he's trying to concentrate power within the executive branch, which is the classic imperial presidency theory. Um, the imperial presidency, boy, that dates back to Nixon times, and it's part of the extreme. It's what happens in the imperial presidency is the push-pull dynamic that is supposed to exist between the legislative and executive branch over power and authority. Well, whenever the president starts trying to usurp and take Congress's power and put it within the executive branch, that's what they create, a unilateral executive imperial presidency. Now, the reason why Democrats winning the midterm election is so vital, and I mean absolutely vital, it's not just protecting democracy, it is that once Democrats win the midterm election, and I do believe they're going to win the House. I mean, I'm almost the way things are going. It would be pretty crazy. It would take something unfathomable for them to not win the House at this moment. But that's a long time away, and things can change, and we always got to put that caveat in there. What we're looking at with the imperial presidency is if Democrats win the House, that imperial presidency stops because Democrats will reassert the legislative branch's authority against the executive branch. And when that reassertion happens, then, there's some ways like with the immigration policy and some other things where he's going to try to take more unilateral control and continue that methodology. But essentially, the imperial presidency gets halted when the legislative branch takes back their authority and power. And historically, when a president has tried to push the boundaries too far and concentrate too much power in the executive branch, that happens at some point. We want that point to be 2026. And the only way that happens is because Republicans have just abdicated their role. They are going to, all they care about is passing this one bill, the tax cuts for the wealthy, their so-called big beautiful bill, which is actually all the legislation for the year that they plan on doing in one bill. So if this falls apart, there's no backup plan. There's no plan B. There's zilch. Absolutely zilch. And they're just going to flounder around for the rest of the year. So yeah, if you don't want Medicaid cuts and tax cuts for the rich and cuts to programs and, we're just going to throw several million people off SNAP that are hungry. If you don't want those things to happen, follow this legislation closely. It's kind of a convoluted maze right now because each of the House committees have to do a markup because this is technically a budget bill of what they're going to do. They each of the 12 committees do their own piece. Then that's all going to come together. It's all going to be voted on. It's going to be voted on in the House. It's going to be voted on in the Senate. And then it's going to be merged together for a final vote. There's so many problems with this right now. You could see it was originally supposed to be done by Memorial Day. Now they're saying it's going to be done by the 4th of July. The original projection was that it might be done by the end of the year. And I think that's closer to what you're looking at because there are some big fights here. But if you really want to know, what's happening potentially legislatively with your government, then follow this process. And I'm going to be right here doing the best I can, untangle it, and tell you as clearly as I can what's going on, what you need to know. I'm not a person who's prone to fear mongering or exaggeration. So if it's bad, I'm going to tell you it's bad. If it's good, well, I'm going to tell you it's good. That's just my view. I mean, mileage may vary. People may disagree. My background is in political science, public sector budgeting, got some knowledge in that. So I'm not a novice. And I've been doing journalism for, oh gosh, 20 24 years. I know, I look older. Um, but who could have guessed? So I think that's about it for today. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble getting access to this chat on my laptop. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to keep talking to you while I do this. I really, really think that, one of the other things I think is definitely coming. You're going to be seeing some big time turnover within the administration. If Democrats win the House, even before that happens, if it looks like Democrats are going to win the House, Elon jumping ship was just the beginning. And by the way, they're making it sound like he's not really leaving, and I have my doubts. To be honest, I have serious big time doubts that he's actually going to go anywhere. I think he might leave in name only, but I'm not sure he's actually really going to leave. I think he's still going to be there, and we still got to be vigilant. But I do think that if Democrats win the House, um, Elon's going to bail. Elon will bail because he'll think that way he won't be called as a witness at hearings. He won't be under investigation. He's very wrong, but he's going to think that. And I think you're going to see a slew of Trump administration officials bail next year, next fall. If it looks like they're going to lose the midterm and the Democrats are going to start investigating, they're going to be heading for the exits. Yeah, I don't believe in jinxes. Jinxes don't work. There's no such thing as jinxes. Just as somebody wrote that in a comment. There, the numbers are the numbers, and historically speaking, when an economy does what this one is doing, unless it magically turns around, which is not going to happen given Trump's policies, um, it's pretty much a slaughter, and that for the incumbent party. So for what we're looking at for the rest of this week, well, in case you didn't notice how the congressional work week goes down, they show up on Mondays with Republicans in charge. They come back in town like Monday night. That's when you'll start seeing some press conferences and whatnot. And then by Thursday afternoon, they start rolling out of town. So, I mean, they may stick around to work on this reconciliation bill a little longer, but week to week, you'll notice the news kind of slows up like Thursday, Friday. Um, unless there's something breaking, that's the reason for that. And since Trump really doesn't work, the presidency really isn't a driver of events and news. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. As for right now, I see I've gone a little over. I wanted to go 15 minutes. I've gone about 20. So we're going to. Oops, I think I have a question here. Uh, in magic, no jinx, but I believe in magic. Well, magic. There's lots of great things. I believe love is magical. Political magic. Uh, there's something to be said for, especially for presidential candidates, political magic. Because I believe those of us who remember seeing Barack Obama and the magical bond that formed with him and his supporters. Trump is the inverse of magic. That's some kind of dark pathology that preys on the insecurities and hatreds and bigotries of others. And but he's kind of the anti-Obama. Um, but yeah, there's such a thing as political magic. It's rare. I think anybody who compares Democrats to Barack Obama or a presidential candidate to Obama, I mean, it really, really made me leery whenever some people started saying that Kamala Harris was Obama-like, because you know there's only one Obama, just like there's one FDR, and if you're a Republican, there's one Reagan. Even though Trump's trying to cosplay Reagan and steal basically everything that Reagan was to make it his own, but he's not Ronald Reagan. Um, So yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that. There's also something to be said. I believe magic in politically comes at the grassroots level. What some people describe as magic is actually a lot of grassroots work by a lot of people, and they put effort into it. It's a lot of day-to-day grind. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But this Trump will be defeated, and the Republicans will be defeated by the work of people. People in small towns, people in big cities, people in rural areas, people up coast to coast. I mean, there'll be people coming together to just say, no, we don't want this. And that work has already started. That work started probably, but I know before January, after he won the election. So that's the magic. The magic is in every individual person coming together to play their part to do something special. Um, Pushback must be sustainable, as somebody wrote here in the comment section. Um, yes, pushback must be sustainable. One of the beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful things we've seen so far in the first 100 days has been the organized, scheduled, consistent pushback. I mean, you've seen it in the courts, you've seen it in the streets, literally. You've seen it. I mean, when Sarah went to a street in our little town here and saw actually the rally of Sarah live, Substack live. They keep someone say Facebook live, but whatever. Substack live. Um, what we found was there were 300 people. 300 people turned out in a borough of 6,000 roughly to oppose Trump's policies in a county that Trump won by 39 points. So yeah, it's everywhere. And I don't think Republicans quite comprehend that it's everywhere. I still think they have no idea of what's heading for them. Because if they did, they certainly wouldn't be behaving like they are. But there is something coming their way. They don't see it coming. They have zero interest in course correcting, which is why I'm feeling very confident about how this election is going to go next year. Because the time to course correct is there should have never been a course correction, and they should have never done 99.9% of the things they're doing. Trump is going to, as usual, skate on this, but Republicans are going to pay the price. Okay, now we're almost a half an hour in. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I see like hundreds of people have shown up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You have no idea. Without you, there would be no us. I wouldn't be able to come here and write stories every day, and hopefully you enjoy them because I enjoy writing them. And I really hope you come back Tuesday morning at 11 because that's when the real good fun starts. Sarah's going to be here, Sarah Jones and I, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the world. We the people, yes we are. Thank you so much everybody for commenting. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking 20 plus minutes of your time to listen to me talk. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you on Tuesday.